message specific for Candid with Lubna. I think it's most worrying that you're now restricting chat to members only. I don't want to join your channel. Obviously, you may have some members only. There are people who very much like your content. I like your content. I believe that you do engage in censorship. It's a shame if you've left Ofcom. Mind you, I don't think Ofcom should even exist in the first place. It doesn't do a proper job. There's no point of an Ofcom. You obviously have a lot of Tommy Robinson supporters on your channel. I've gone light of low now after what I learned recently. I wish, it's like, even as one of your people saying is that UKIP will never get elected. Unfortunately, I think the political system's in a mess. I think you're right to point out what's going on the Five Pillars channel. I think that you're probably coming to the conclusion that there's going to be a leftist Islamist alliance. I think that even Nextdoor's cat has noticed that. I think even Larry the Cat would notice that. That said, if you put Harry the Cat versus Rupert Lowe, sadly people would vote for Larry the Cat. And definitely some of the extremists on the right. It's interesting you sat down with Tommy Robinson. I've not publicly said anything about Tommy Robinson. I think it's interesting he's been in Israel. I was actually on a course and questioned. I said, do you think that was a good thing? Especially that there are people within his ranks who are anti-Semites. And I've put a video out to that effect. So, it is a fact. I have text messages from people who one is associated with Form for sure. She goes around going, I've got to do an interview, even though she's been sending me anti-Semitic links to anti-Semitic films, crap like that. The purpose of my channel, quite frankly, is to support our Jewish community and support the British Indian community. I didn't go to Hyde Park. I went to Hyde Park with an Indian flag. Spur of the moment thing, really. I went to Wembley, bought an India flag, because I wanted to stick it to these aggressive Islamists who claim that, Kashmir is, where India is committing God knows what. It's not. India has a problem in Kashmir. India's always had a problem in Kashmir because Pakistan decided to invade it. I do think that you have got good intentions in trying to create correspondence on that. But as you know, and you shut me down on this, I've had personal interaction with your community. Very personal interaction. And my view of Pakistan as a country is a pretty dim one. I think it's been aggressive towards its neighbour, India. There was even a protest by Kashmiris, because a lot of Kashmiris actually wanted to be fully independent of both countries. That probably was the best solution in 1947. So please let people chat on your channel, because otherwise people are not going to watch your videos. I think your content tonight looked good. Obviously, Tommy Robinson's become like a Goldstein figure. No, I don't think this applies to Robinson. He's definitely not MI5. I believe Nick Tenconi could be MI5. I believe certain other people, maybe a couple of other people, could actually be MI5. Here's James shooting his mouth off again. If you look up Searchlight magazine, Searchlight magazine is a front for MI5. Even most leftists know this these days. Essentially, MI5 want to know what's going on. So then someone pops up like Tenconi, come from nowhere, and basically he appears a patriot, he runs around with his megaphone, he has a demonstration in Whitechapel, which he knows is going to get banned anyway, which it has been on public order grounds. Where's he come from? He's some jumped up little personal trainer. I think your channel's got a lot of potential, Lubna, to talk about some of the issues that are going on. I mean, I told Camilla Tominey that I'd had a lot of interactions, that's one way of putting it, with Tommy Robinson and his supporters. Not with Tommy Robinson personally. I've never met him. I've met him once, actually. I wasn't massively impressed. If I thought Tommy Robinson was a fascist, I'd say it straight out. I know Tenconi is a fascist. I mean, some of the stuff he says and does is just so ridiculous that one of my... I mean, it's in the 5%, but I think he is an agent of the state. I think no one can be that stupid. It's not about economics, it's about thinking correctly. No, everything is about economics, Lubna. I'm just reading your chat as I'm talking. Lubanites unite, you see? You got a following. You got a following, sister. You got a following. But please just let people who are not members of your channel. I mean, I can afford the £3 a month now, but there again, after being, self-employed for a bit, well, £3 is a lot of money. It's £3 of silver. Well, used to be anyway. I think you've got a great contribution to make. I think that you do have, if you would start having people back on your channel to talk other than you, definitely. It's not about subscribers, it's about saving Britain. I think Britain is in huge trouble, but this is now coming to a head. There's rumours that Shabana Mahmood will be the next Prime Minister. I mean, it's for sure that Starmer's gone. Starmer has gone. He's gone. He's already a lame duck Prime Minister. You've got his Finance Minister rumoured now to be hiking income tax. Something has to give in the budget. The PSBR for the last month was 20 billion. That's a lot of money for 1 month. They cannot allow the budget deficit to get any greater. But if you know the Laffer curve, you will know that if she keeps taxing the hell out of working Britons, she's going to have a problem in that the rich will leave. The rich are already leaving. Like Ed Sheeran is now left for America. Now, Ed Sheeran is the darling of the BBC. He's the darling of the establishment. He's gone to live in Trump's America. Why? Because it's got lower taxes. Has he admitted this? No. But it is blatantly obvious. But you can't say anything about Ed Sheeran. I think he's an occultist little shocking person. And look at his videos. He's dressed up like a demon. There's your problem. Now, Ed Sheeran, as well as a lot of other rich people, Jim Radcliffe is another, have decided to take their residency and go overseas, mainly because they don't want Rachel Reeves to start grabbing their money. It's very noble to say tax the rich, but the trouble is the rich then basically go overseas. So then if you're a Leninite or a Trotskyite, Trotsky was the globalist, wasn't he? Then you have people who say we need a global revolution so the rich can't hide anywhere. Well, if you have, what's her name, AOC as the next US president, then you'll know to get a one-way ticket to Mars, because by then you know that the world is going to end up as an Islamist socialist hellhole. Because what happens is the socialists form an unholy alliance with the Islamists, and then the Islamists basically go after the socialists, and then we end up with an Iran-style government. That's where I think the world government is going to come from. It's going to be an Islamist government. God help us all. I hope that I've passed away when that happens. But I don't want to live under Sharia law. Thank you very, very much. Obviously, the 5 Pillars website does. And there's obviously some, idiot convert. Now, as you know, and I'll finish here, Lubna, if you're still actually listening, your DAR 3810 or whatever its name was. Ooh, that's nasty. I mean, he's just a Billy No-Mates from Saudi Arabia who basically decided to convert to Islam because he had no mates. Okay, that's being a bit judgmental, but I reckon I'm right. I don't hate Muslims. Not at all. Having lived in the Middle East for a total of 3.5 years, not all at the same time. I don't hate Muslims. I don't hate Qataris. There are a lot of Qataris who drink, especially the one who bought all my alcohol allowance. He really liked his drinking. And I don't think he was sharing it either. I mean, he had one on the go in the car. I mean, I've done some naughty things on my time, including selling my alcohol allowance to Qataris, as you do. We have a problem in that, yes, I do agree with you that many born Muslims, because as you know, you're born into this, Lubna, you are a Muslim. If you, I'm not sure whether they've branded you that, if you commit apostasy, Lubna, good luck. Because under Sharia law, you've got problems. Now, luckily in the liberal Gulf states and Qatar, you've got this kind of uneasy atmosphere. Saudi Arabia, there is an apostasy law. One of the reasons, by the way, we have so much asylum claims from Pakistan is because of the 2022 AHCR ruling. Not a lot of people know that. But essentially that ruling says that a Pakistani can now say that they've converted. I mean, people are going, oh, there's been a big rise in the number of people getting baptized in the church. Well, that's probably because asylum seeker has made a false conversion, which they're allowed to do under their warped view of Islam. Let's just put it that way to be PC. And they rock up to the vicar and go, I want to become a Christian. The vicar, who's probably like that new Archbishop of Canterbury, goes, great, I'll baptize you. They get baptized and they go to the Home Office and say, I can't go back to my country. That's an EHCR ruling. We need to pull out of the EHCR. People are abusing it. Immigration is that there is a safe country right next door to Syria. It's called Turkey. If Turkey is having problems with refugees on the border, you give Turkey aid, Turkey feeds the refugees. No, we've got an uncontrolled, chaotic asylum and immigration system across Europe now. I think Europe is dying. I think Europe is becoming Islamized. And I think that the demographics are moving so rapidly that a Islamic Europe is now a pretty real prospect. Just ask J.D. Vance. He said, who do you think is going to be the first? Pakistan is the first Muslim nuclear power. Is that he can see the British, Britain is going to become an Islamic state, and that America will need to deal with that. That is one of the reasons why Trump wants Greenland. Greenland is highly strategic. He needs it in the Arctic, and he is effectively saying that he thinks Denmark is going to fall to a hostile government. So, sorry about the rambling, but this is, that's the autism. My head goes down various tangents. I don't like your members-only chat. I think you've got a lot of... There's another Love Nights Unite. I think you are very brave running your channel, for sure. I think it's despicable that you've had to move. That's just so sad. I feel personally very, very sad. I don't know you at all, but I think that's incredibly sad that you've had to move. I think that you are a bit Blairite. I think you kind of grew up in that kind of environment. I don't think you're particularly... I think you could be politically savvy. I think you're a very intelligent woman. I'm just looking at your... There you go. You're speaking out against stuff that's going on in your community. The Pakistani community has become enclaved in places like Luton, Rochdale, Bradford. And I think that there is now a situation where there has to be honest debate. I think that you are very brave starting that. I think you are very brave to say, look, I actually want to call out the bad apples, because as you know, Zia Youssef is in reform. I don't think reform is the way forward. As I said earlier, I think that reform will not win the next election because they will find a way of keeping them out. Anyway, that's a matter for another stream.